I just need to vent, because why am I always the second option? Every single time, I swear. I'm always the backup option. I'm always the option until a different option comes around. And I get it. I have a complicated life. I'm headstrong. I have 3 kids. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a single mom with 2 baby daddies. I understand all of that. It's not an easy situation. And the ones that I, want to give me a chance, they just treat me like shit. And then the ones that I'm not interested at all, those are the ones that are like, there's some of us out here that are trying and you just aren't giving us a chance. Well, Bob, you're 67 years old. What do you want me to do? Of course I don't want to give you a chance. Yes, I'm not dating my father. What do you want from me, Mark? You're sexualizing my body before you even have a conversation with me. What do you expect from me? User 6547829118512. I don't even know your first name. Who are you? What do you look like? Of course I'm not giving you a chance. Like, let's use our brains a little bit here, guys, okay? The only people I actually give a chance are people that I've had face-to-face conversations with. Even if we haven't met in real life, we've FaceTime, we've been on the screen, we've been face-to-face with each other. You can't connect over a DM, especially if you're not even my type in the first place. I don't know who you are. We're not friends. You don't have a profile picture. Your name's not in your bio. And your username says Big Daddy Mac. Hey, can I take you out to dinner? No, who are you? Of course no woman is gonna go out on a date with you. But when you actually have a conversation or you're talking to someone and then they pick somebody else, that's when you're justified in saying, I never get picked, or whatever you guys want to complain about. I get picked second though. And I see them in person or over the phone or FaceTime. So that what does that say about me, I guess?
The interesting thing about this video is that it seems like she asked the question and then answered it herself. Everything she mentioned after that question could easily explain why she's facing those dating challenges. At this point, the only thing she really needs to do is be honest with herself and readjust her target, specifically who she is going for when looking for someone to connect with. This is usually what solves situations like this. What she described is the reality that many average men deal with regularly. And as we know, they rarely complain because it has become part of their everyday life. Once she reaches the point of accepting this new reality, things will become easier for her. In today's dating scene, many women are primarily going after the so-called 6-foot Chad, which puts those men in a position where they are overwhelmed with options, and naturally not everyone can be their first choice. The irony is that she might feel like she's settling for men who would actually be her perfect match.
Yesterday, my stepdaughter graduated and I wasn't invited. I've been in her life since she was 4 months old. Married her mother when she turned 2, the daughter that is obviously. I've been there, consistent, showing up, providing, loving her like my own. But come graduation day, I wasn't given a seat. Like, word. Alright, cool. They told me there were only 8 tickets. Let me tell you who made the list.
I was going to say, 8 is a lot.
My wife, her 2 sisters, her biological dad, her uncle, her grandma, her aunt, and her aunt's boyfriend. 8 tickets, and I wasn't one of them. Bet. I've been sitting with the pain all day. I took time off work, 3 days gone. I drive trucks. That's money and time that I won't get back. And still, I got left out. So today, I made some decisions. I removed her from my car and health insurance. Took her off everything I've been covering. Told her mother, since she's grown and graduated, she can go stay with her father, the one that she made room... She can go and stay with her father, the one she made room for over me. Now, there's tension in my house. Emotions are high. But I'm standing on how I feel. Because the truth is, I'm so hurt. I'm not mad, just deeply, genuinely hurt. I don't need applause. I just needed to speak my truth. Thanks for listening.
Her aunt's boyfriend was given a ticket, and her mom's husband did not get a ticket. Her mom is the problem. His feelings are valid. He deserved better than this. That was the best thing he could have done for everyone. The fact that he wasn't included shows he's not that important in her life. And with that realization, it's time for him to redirect his resources and energy to those who truly value and appreciate who he is and what he does. Even her aunt's boyfriend was included before the man who had been there for her since she was 4 years old. I can't imagine the feeling. That was everything he needed to know. This is a man who likely did more for her than her own father ever did, which is why it probably hurt so deeply. It reached a point where he felt compelled to write about it, and honestly, anyone in his shoes would feel the same. Most people would understand his decision because clearly, everything he had done up to that point didn't count. In fact, she made it clear that he's one of her least favorite person, and that's not something you can just ignore. What surprised me even more was that her mother went along with it. She had to know it would hurt him in some way. It's hard to believe she thought excluding him would be perfectly normal when he had supported the entire family for this long.
Another thing, when I talk to a woman with kids, and the first thing they say, oh, my BD ain't shit. My BDs ain't shit. Let me talk to him. Put him on the phone. Let me ask him some questions. Because why y'all always be painting y'all BDs out to be the bad person? And then you comes to find out, you the problem. Let me talk to Jamal. Let me see what Jamal got to say about this. I don't want this to be a one-sided affair.
The whole time Jamal been trying to see his kids for years. He has a valid point. The story is always told from one side, making him the main reason it didn't work out. And that's exactly why having that conversation would make a huge difference. It would provide a more complete understanding of what actually happened, because up until now, we've only ever heard that he was the reason things ended. There's rarely any self-reflection or acknowledgement from their side, and that in itself reveals there's more to the story. As we all know, every situation has two sides. There are many cases where guys have heard the child's father doesn't bother to visit or support his child financially, but sometimes the father was actively trying to be involved and was met with the opposite energy. Sometimes that resistance is intentional, used to prove a point, or to create a narrative. That's why the majority would rather avoid that conversation, because it might expose what really happened.
And since we're on the topic of babies, let's also address the elephant in the room. Men don't leave their children, they leave you. And as a result of that, then you guys start to keep the child away from the father. Now he's a bad father. Now he needs supervised visitation. Now you are scared for the safety of that child. But he was good enough to procreate with, but now he's not good enough to be a father outside of being with you. And to the ladies in the back that's gonna say, well, he can come get his child whenever he wants to, he just chooses not to. But you picked him, so now you're the problem and it's your issue.
Wow, I never thought a woman will come out and say this. He left them, not the child. She said what she said. That's a valid and important point. There are so many cases where a husband was seen as a great father while the relationship was intact. But the moment separation or divorce enters the picture, that same man is no longer a good example for the kids and needs supervised visitation. How does a man go from being praised as a perfect father to being deemed unfit just because their relationship ended? This often happens when one parent can't separate their issues and the relationship the other parent has with their child. And unfortunately, it's the child who suffers the most in these situations. A child who had nothing to do with it, yet ends up being the most affected. The fact that the parents are no longer together should never impact the child's relationship with any of them. That bond should be protected and encouraged. The reality is that he left the mother, not the child. That's the distinction that needs to be understood and accepted.
Here they go. Here they go. You know the brosphere is going to come for us.
Oh yeah,
Two single, attractive women with never been married and have no kids.
and beat all every statistic. No problem. You can say that. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Exactly. I'm very happy.
pass.
I'm
Yeah.
very happy with that.
I don't have conversations about who's paying child support or who's going to watch the kids. I get up and fucking go, and I do my career, and I have a great time, and I take care of my mama, and there's great conversations. And I'm not pun intending to the ones who do, because I have girlfriends with kids. But our conversation is, she has to find a babysitter on Thursday night if she's coming. Who's going to take care of, if I'm willing to do it, but I'm the one that's trying to go with her. So the conversation's different. Or she's in court, resolving a divorce. Or she's in court resolving child support. Or she has to figure out how to co-parent with him, her, and everyone else. Bruh.
Yeah.
It is not lonely over here.
They think they're in a better spot because they're single and don't have to deal with everything a relationship usually comes with. In their mind, that choice puts them ahead, like they're somehow beating all the odds. I don't know if that's just a coping mechanism or delusion, because what they described actually makes them part of the statistic, just one they don't want to admit to being part of. And that's what makes it so funny to me. I mean, you're not a better driver than everyone else just because you've never gotten behind the wheel. How can you claim to be in a better position when you've never even driven? I didn't know people without a license could claim they are better drivers than those actually on the road.